right, welcome everybody back to another episode of the Big Doug and Carmi Show. We are drafting best ball today, and our guest is Ed from the Sports Junkies. What up, Ed? How you doing, man?
Hey, doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. So we've been doing these. George, you got a league for us pulled up. We've been doing these best balls all off season. I don't know, George. We're 15 or 20 into these things now. We've had some of the best in the business on. And I think maybe we're starting to try to figure out the strategy behind this. The great thing is, EB, you are a rookie to the best ball scenes. We're excited to kind of share with you what all the hype is about here.
Yeah, we're actually in the league right now. Actually, it jumped on pretty quick. So for those of you that don't actually follow best ball's the best. Me and Doug are having a good time with it. Essentially, you pick a player, you pick a team, and what ends up happening is no matter what, even if your player's on the bench, they're going to be the highest added score is what comes up every single week, even if they're on the bench. So the draft is the most important thing as opposed to weekly maintenance, which is pretty nice. So we're drafting in about 29 seconds. We are, let me see what spot we're in. We might have a bad spot, Doug. I think we're looking.
We look like we're last, George.
All right. So
we're doing this together is what we're doing. We're doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah, the three of us, yes.
Gotcha.
And if we hit the milli, we'll give you a third, EB.
Absolutely. Right, we're number 2, Doug. We're actually number 2 on the clock.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So EB, what we've been doing this whole time is basically we let our guests have the final decision. We can talk it out and have some fun. But we're number 2. We're number 2 on the clock. So Christian McCaffrey, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill. Think about who you want to have on our team. Start to build the cornerstone of our team. We're on the clock right now. 30 seconds.
All right. Well, everybody's taking McCaffrey, right? What's been the consensus number 2? Has it been CeeDee Lamb? Has he been kind of the consensus number 2?
Those top 3 really is who we're looking at here.
It's either CeeDee Lamb or Tyreek Hill. It doesn't really matter which one, whatever we want to do.
Yeah, I mean, Tyreek's gonna have a hard time topping what he did last year, but maybe the same as I maybe say CD. I might just go CD.
CD's on the clock. So one thing, EB, that we learned over time is we talked to some really big fantasy guys over this past month or so. Yeah. A stack is basically what you want to do in tournaments like this because it just kind of limits the factors that come into play, right? Let's say Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb have a big game. You have a higher chance of winning that week. So think about Dak later on, or think about stacks in general while we're doing this.
Mm-hmm. All right. And so then we're still probably looking at wide receivers and running backs coming back?
Yeah, on this thing, they keep telling us that you want to get out of the first 6 rounds with 4 receivers.
Oh, my God.
Like building receiver depth on this thing is important, but you don't want to necessarily, do that just for the sake of doing it either. We're still trying to get the biggest points per player we can get at that spot. I'm curious what the value of Debo is if they get this Ayuk trade done.
What is the latest with that?
I guess the people that like to guess on these things have all said the Steelers so far.
Wow.
Which that is interesting because what does that do to George Pickens, who was going pretty early in these things as a clear-cut wide receiver 1? So.
Mm-hmm. And then
all right,
go ahead. I was going to say, if you're looking, basically wide receivers flew off the board. Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, they're all gone. Only 2 running backs have gone, Bijan Robinson and Breece Hall. And on the left-hand side are best available. So Garrett Wilson, Puka Nacua. We're 11 picks away. So some of these real big guys are going to be gone pretty soon. But, are there any of these guys that you like particularly? Even it's NFL-wise, like Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, Jalen Waddle. Are you into these guys this year?
I mean, of course, all these guys. I'm super excited to see what Marvin Harrison's going to do. I wouldn't draft him that high. I don't think I'd be scared to.
Yeah.
I think Debo's a freak. I actually think the running back in Baltimore is going to do really well from Tennessee. I think he's going to really be exciting this year. Going to surprise people maybe.
And we probably could work towards that kind of stat too, George, if we wanted to.
Absolutely, Lamar and Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
EB, do you play a lot of fantasy, or how many leagues are you in?
No, I used to. I mean, years ago, we used to do it. Even with baseball, we were hand doing it. Way before the internet and stuff. Then I got addicted to poker, and I just and honestly, it gets frustrating. Fantasy gets frustrating for me. Just because there is so much luck involved, and there is so much management involved. The beauty of this is no management involved.
Yeah,
the draft is the fun part.
You draft and walk away. Exactly right.
Yeah. This is like the poker of fantasy football to me. You get in here, you put your money on the table, you get your cards, you sort them out, try to get
you're all in.
You can't. That's right.
So I recommend we have 30 seconds. I recommend a wide receiver. You can get a running back if you want, but wide receiver's going to fly off the board. We have Devontae Adams, Ayuk, Mike Evans, Devontae Smith, Cooper Kupp, Neighbors.
Metcalf. Which one do you guys like?
Well, and we got Derrick Henry there too, so we're going to try to do that stack. Got to do that now, George.
We can get Henry on the way back, though, right? We have 4 picks to our next selection, in my opinion. But
all right,
what do you think? Evans is a good one. Ayuk's a good one.
Maybe Evans. The Ayuk stuff is just too unknown.
I agree.
I like the Evans, but Neighbors was there too. I actually like Neighbors. I hate to have to say that, because of the Giants, but who else are they throwing the ball to, really?
EBD want Brandon Ayuk in DC. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I would take him, of course. I mean, I actually think we're going to surprise some people this year a little bit. I don't want to get ahead of my skis, and I say this every year. I really thought we were going to surprise people last year, and it just went south. But I mean, I do think that this Jaden Daniels is the real deal. So I'm excited.
So real quick, Derrick Henry's on the board. Brandon Ayuk, Neighbors, Metcalf. What do you want there?
Let's do it, George.
Henry?
Yeah.
I think Henry's good. Yeah, I like that.
All right.
Yeah, with 2 good wide receivers and a good running back. I like that. That's our first share in Henry, I think. We always miss out on him, Doug. I
think you're right. If we can get him paired up with Lamar, I kind of like that. Yeah.
And then is that when quarterbacks are going, like the 5th and 6th round? Is that when they're going, or?
I mean, there's some folks that wait real late.
Really?
You can pick up. Yeah, I mean, depending on what you like, you can get Matthew Stafford and Aaron Rodgers. Some of those guys. I mean, you're talking about like the 10th, 11th round on some of those guys.
The name of the game.
Even Jaden Daniels and like 2 are going 7th round, probably, right? Is that about the right range, George?
Yeah, I was gonna say with this type of league, people love like scrambling running backs, right? So Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, even
quarterbacks,
quarterbacks. Josh Allen, like those guys are like, believe it or not, Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen are like 1 and 2 in regard. Like people take them over Patrick Mahomes because they get so many rushing touchdowns as well, and we're upside there. So we can either attack those high-end quarterbacks or, as Doug alluded to, wait and get Aaron Rodgers or Kirk Cousins way late in the draft. So it's kind of whatever we want to do. But
it's been wild, EB, to see. Like all offseason, we've done fantasy football, and the fantasy community is super high on Jaden to the point where it makes me a little nervous. You know what I mean?
know.
Like to get, as you were pointing out earlier, like it feels like everything's heading in the right direction. The national guys are all sized, and it's like, it feels kind of like we've been here before.
Yeah, and I think honestly the fan base is scared. I was talking to Grant Paulson about it earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
The fan base is scared to buy in. Everyone's just been burned so many times. Everyone's just kind of like, I'll believe it when I see it. But the whispers and everything that you're hearing is they're blown away with what they've got on their hands so far. Mm-hmm. And I love his humility, humbleness. Just remember it was like 2 months ago, half the town was convinced he didn't even want to come here. There hasn't been any hint of that.
Yeah.
Nothing of the sort.
I think I've been most impressed by his work ethic and how humble he is. Like there was a lot of bad like stigma or whatever stereotype going into the draft. Like, oh, he's a diva, doesn't want to be here. It's the kind of you alluded to, but like we haven't caught any of that at all. And it seems like he is a hard worker. So I'm pumped about that.
Great kid.
What do you think is different? Oh, sorry. We have 7 picks till our next selection.
All right. I'm starting to get panicked now. I'm in the draft.
If you don't mind, we might interrupt you when the clock comes on because we only have 30 seconds.
No, please.
So it's quick. So we are coming up. So maybe we should talk about that. We have 2 wide receivers, a running back. Sam Laporta, I think, just came off the board. Tight ends are gone. I don't know what you want to do. We can get another wide receiver here, a running back. T. Higgins, Travis Etienne, Trey McBride.
If the plan is to stack with Lamar, then you probably got to take him next.
Lamar's coming up. Lamar is like number 5 on the big.
If he's even there when we get there. Well, we're 2
Yeah.
picks away, so he may.
Anthony Richardson, C.J. Stroud, Kyler Murray. I think we should get Lamar, actually, if he comes around.
I mean, we already took the running backs. So, I mean, there's no reason not to. I was reading the other day that, my guy Isaiah Likely there in Baltimore, they've been putting him in the slot, so he may get more work than your traditional tight end too. And you're getting him like way late. I say go Lamar here.
Go Lamar. He'd be the guess.
Yeah. Go with that. Yep.
Let's do it.
I mean, the one thing about Lamar is you feel good about his production every week. You know what I mean? Like,
I won a championship with Lamar last year. He was awesome. He's like 20 to 30 points a week in fantasy. He's fantastic. I'm going to be up again in 1 minute. So I don't know if you want to get a tight end or do you want to get another wide receiver.
Is Laporta still there? Or is he gone now?
No, he's gone. Trey McBride, McLaurin, Josh Jacobs, Highwood Brown are the top on the board. Best tight end. We have Kyle Pitts, George Kittle are also floating around a tight end if you want that at all.
I'm biased. I like Terry.
Scary Terry? Let's do it. All right. So you're a Terry guy? I was wondering about that. How do you feel about Terry? How do you feel about John?
Oh, I love him. I would want him to marry my daughters. I mean, the guy's
guy.
Unbelievable. You know what I mean? And I think that they were messing around last year. I don't know what was going on. My understanding is he's just going to get more run. They're not going to be worried as much about spreading the ball around. I just think this could be a big year for him.
So I know you had that shirt, like you're the real EB, right? I thought it was kind of hilarious with that whole trend with that. What were your thoughts? What were your thoughts on Eric Bieniemy now that it's all said and done? Just feel like it's for the.
Well, my thoughts were from about week 3 on, he was a disaster.
Okay.
And it just kept getting worse. Listen, God bless him. He's carved out an unbelievable career, but it just did not work here. I thought our offense was a mess from the beginning.
Yeah.
But I just kept giving him time. And then what they did to Hal, in my opinion, was it was borderline like malpractice. To throw that kid to the wolves like that, especially when he was struggling in the second half of the season, and just continue to just throw the football with it's just not working out. No balance to the offense at all. I thought it was reprehensible the way he ran that offense last year.
I like Sam Howell. I don't know if he caught it, both of you guys. Geno Smith actually pulled his cap or something recently, and Howell might actually start for the first couple of weeks, which would be ridiculous. So are you a Howell guy?
I like him.
They say they're kind of brutal out there.
Go ahead.
What did Doug say?
I said the reports are he hadn't looked so good.
Yeah, I heard that they were struggling at the beginning, and that might be the case. But I definitely think he could play. I mean, what he did in his first year, it's not horrible. I mean, he had too many interceptions.
Yeah.
But he was tough as nails, and they just threw him to the wolves. They didn't protect him. He was not put, in my opinion, in the best position to succeed. It's a shame. So I root for him. I mean, I don't think he's some sort of Pro Bowler, but I just think he could play, and I root for him. I think he's a tough kid.
I agree.
Once you started hearing all the stuff coming out of Ashburn about what that offense actually looked like, I think this year is going to be refreshing the way they move guys around. The more people we've talked to, that was the problem with Kingsbury before. Like, he kind of got stuck with what he liked. Apparently the time off has let him kind of look at what the league looks like now. And if we can get these guys moving around, like, I'd love to see Terry in the slot more, use that speed to get by folks. Sounds like Dotson and Diami, which would be nice. Be nice to see some Diami action. All right, what does the roster look like here so far, George?
So we have 5 picks. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, CeeDee Lamb, Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin. We have 3 good wide receivers, I think.
I love the wide receiver room.
Yeah, I like every player that they got, to be honest with you. Derrick Henry, I think, could be RB1. Lamar Jackson's fantastic. Pretty balanced wide receiver room. So we're kind of like, BPA. We can pick whoever we want. Maybe tight end. Like, I think Evan Engram, like, I don't know if, like, EB, I don't know how much you follow fantasy. People love him in the fantasy world because he gets, like, a lot of targets, like 90 targets last year with Trevor Lawrence. People kind of like him. Jake Ferguson from Dallas. We can get him, maybe them later. I don't know, whatever you guys want. Roma Dunze's there on top of the board, Chicago. Ladd McConkey for
what about what running back do we have left?
So Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones, James Conner, Ramondre Stevenson, Najee Harris are the big ones.
We're on the clock now.
So Eckler already went a long time ago.
He's probably still around. We'll get him later, though.
There for a while.
Yeah.
He still will be.
You probably have
I think
Kamara, honestly.
he could bounce back. Who do you like?
Kamara, actually. I'll tell you why in a second if you get him. Should we get him?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Kamara is actually awesome because he gets peppered at targets. They throw the ball to him all the time. Like they're like because they have Derek Carr and he kind of checks the ball down a lot. So he's a good in PPR. He's good.
Yeah, it's funny. They got Brian Robinson Jr. ranked above Eckler in most of these fantasy leagues.
Yeah. So coming around, we're gonna have another pick and one pick. I don't know if you want to get a tight end. The tight ends aren't fantastic though. Evan Ingram, Jake Ferguson. I don't know if I love them. These are the top 5 on the board: C.J. Stroud, McConkey, Brian Thomas, Evan Ingram, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Kean Coleman, Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, James Conner. None of these guys are fantastic.
No. I think McConkey. Go ahead, Edie.
I defer to you guys at this point.
Let's go Ingram or McConkey, George.
Let's do Ingram. Let's get a tight end in there, I think. That'd be nice.
Okay.
We don't have any shares in him.
I'll tell you, we've done enough of these where we waited late on tight end, and then you're right, George, we'll end up regretting it.
So
now what do we need? We just need a flex?
Yeah, so now we're starting to fill out the bench a little bit. So we have 5, 7. We're about halfway through the draft. That's how fast these things go.
Mm-hmm.
There's 18 total picks. We're 7 picks down. So now we have a starting lineup, but we can basically build our bench. And remember, in best ball, you're just trying to get the highest score possible. So maybe like shoot for high upside guys on our bench. That's what we're looking for. We have some time. We have 17 picks. So I guess, we'll talk about the Commanders. Like, I guess, EB, what are your thoughts? Like, why would this year be different than maybe previous years or the past couple of years we had in DC? Why should it be optimistic? Because I feel like there is some optimism going on in DC right now.
Well, first of all, I think we got a dynamite quarterback that we talked about, right? I think he's really gonna be the guy. And I think 5 years in college, 3-time captain, Heisman Trophy winner. Everybody knows what he can do, and I think it's going to translate. I think all his experience is going to pay off. He made that jump from Arizona State to LSU. Had his best year when he needed it the most. Just kept getting better. So I think that. But honestly, I think our coaching, and I like what we did, but I think our coaching staff is major league upgraded. Like Ron was a joke to me. Ron's like a rah leader kind of guy, but it's just whatever. He had too much going on. I think he was just kind of punting. He would change, sort of like the season trajectory and his plan week to week. He was just a mess. Yeah. I think Jack was a little punched out defensively. I just think we're overall going to be much better coached football team this year. And so I think that makes a difference. I like what they did in the draft. I still think the offensive line is a question, but I thought they addressed it the year before when they brought in Wiley and Gates. That didn't really work out. We still got Wiley. Hopefully Coleman works out. If there could just be a slight upgrade there, Jaden can run around when need be. I don't know. I just think we're going to surprise people. I don't have great analysis. I just think we're going to surprise people. I think we upgraded talent, and I think we upgraded the most important position, and I think our coaching staff is better. Look at the coaches from last year. How many of them are on a staff this year? Bieniemy's not even in the NFL.
Yeah,
he had to go back to college.
Yeah.
I see that the woman that was the running backs coach or whatever, she's in Chicago.
Yeah.
But there's about less than a half dozen, I think, that are.
Where's Del Rio? I don't even remember. I don't even know where Del Rio is right now. Is he at the league? He's at the league.
He's out.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's out. Ron's out. Ron could barely get a TV job.
Yeah.
They were just a mess.
Yeah.
The over-under's at 6.5 wins, EB. Gotta be.
Yeah, I'm going over.
Yeah.
There you go.
I typically always go over, but I'm definitely going over.
I always go over too.
I
go over, and then I'm embarrassed at the end of the year. But
we have about 5 picks until we go up. It's the roads are oyster, guys. We can do whatever we want. We have DeAndre Hopkins, Jordan Addison, Curtis Samuel. We can get another quarterback and kind of roll the dice there. Like maybe if Lamar gets hurt, we can go that direction. Joe Burrow's sitting there.
Well, you could get your Dak. You could get your Dak.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea. Get Dak
how far down the line is JD? He's got Terry.
Let's take a look. We do have Terry as well. Yeah, but he's on his ADP is 101. We're on what are we at right now?
Yeah. Dak's
Yeah.
at 95, so I mean, you're right there in the same range.
Yeah, exactly.
Either way.
I think it's a good idea to protect Lamar. I look for Lamar to have a big year, but you never know. These guys all get hurt.
We're actually up. Do you want to do Dak or do you want to do Jaden? Doesn't matter to me one way or the other.
You guys pick.
Feels like we got to go Jaden, right?
Obviously.
I mean,
After
we've been
after
waxing
the
poetically
endorsement
about
that
him
DB
for
decided,
20 minutes now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. LSU quarterback. Let's do it. All right, cool. All right, coming around. Yeah, so once again, we're going to have a pick and one more pick. Brock Bowers, Njoku, Brian Robinson are running back. Chase Brown, whatever you guys want. Brock Purdy, whatever you guys want.
I'm not a Brian Robinson guy. I think he's fine, but I don't understand everyone's excitement about him.
We have about 10 seconds.
I don't know. Brock Bowers. I think Brock Bowers could be
Brock Bowers, yeah.
Yeah, that's Doug's guy.
That's right. Go Bulldogs. I think that's our first year of Brock Bowers, too.
I think so, too.
He's going to do a lot of work.
EB, how do you see the NFC shaping up? I guess like the Cowboys, the Eagles, are the 49ers still the team to beat, in your opinion? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, probably. I think Brock Purdy gets so disrespected.
I agree.
I just think he's so good. And as my buddy says, look, quarterbacks are paid to throw the football. That's what he does very, very well. He might not be the most dynamic guy in the world, but he's super accurate. He hangs in there. I think he's I don't know. I just think he's great. So if they can get that Ayuk situation resolved, I don't see any scenario why they can't just kind of be right there in the hunt again, especially if McCaffrey stays healthy. I mean, they got health issues like everybody else. They got to stay healthy. I think the Eagles. I think the Saquon deal with the Eagles could be a game changer for them. And I think Jalen's due for a little bit of a bounce back.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm with you. So with Brock Purdy, people kind of hate on him a little bit, right? They say it's a system quarterback. He's a Shanahan quarterback. He's not that great. But the thing is, though, he's working in that system. And if they give him a long-term deal, he's going to be a Shanahan quarterback for a very long time. So he's going to be productive throughout his career. So what's wrong with that, right? Like he's producing. Yeah, nothing wrong with that at all. So I can see him being a good quarterback for years. And I like him. I think he's more innovative than people think. Like he might not be. He doesn't have Aaron Rodgers' arm strength or anything like that, but he's kind of slippery. He can generate in the pocket and move around a little bit. So
he's definitely more athletic than people give him credit for.
Yeah, I agree.
You gonna give him $60 million, George?
One, I mean, if he takes them deep into the playoffs again, why not? I mean, I think that NFL salary is all like monopoly money right now, anyway, right? It just kind of feels like no matter what, like $30 million for a wide receiver, $60 million for a quarterback. Like, what is it? I mean, I don't know.
And they're still not getting close to what the vet min is like on an NBA team. You know what I mean? Those NBA contracts always make me laugh, man.
EB, we had a conversation, me and Doug are in a group chat. I don't know if you caught this at all. So Trent Williams is kind of like upset that he has no more guaranteed money for the next 3 years in San Francisco. And he's kind of like complaining about that. And he's like asking for more money right now, which we're used to in the DC market. We're kind of used to that right now. Do you think that's justified, or do you think he should kind of sit back on the rocker a little bit, let Ayuk and Brock Purdy kind of figure it out? I'll be honest with you, I think it's a little bit selfish. You know what? I mean, but I don't want to talk about to someone else's money, in my opinion. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. It just seems like a player of his caliber, though.
Yeah.
I mean, still playing at the peak of his powers. I mean, the guy's unreal. He probably should have some of that money guaranteed. Especially because that seems to be the trend around the league. So if that's sort of the trend around the league to do that with your superstars. Look, I don't love it. You sign a contract, you should live by it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how the league works, you know. Mm-hmm. So I can't hate on the guy. I can't hate on the guy for trying to lock up as much guaranteed money as he can.
He's still the best left tackle in the league. It's crazy.
Right. And, he wants to be paid like it, and he wants to be protected in case if he has some sort of catastrophic injury, which, I mean, I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't hate on him.
Another guy with no more guaranteed money on his deal is Terry McLaurin. These guys are getting paid 30-some million, Well, you got to give him another contract, though, right?
What's his money? He has no more guaranteed money left. Is that right?
If it's not this year, it's next year. It's either this year or next year where all the guaranteed money is gone.
Right. I mean, he's
Just
starting
about
to get up.
I think he is just about to hit that year 30.
I think it's
So
29 right
in
now,
that
30.
time frame, right, where you get nervous.
I like to reserve judgment, see what he does this year. I think he can. I think he can still be very productive in this league. But let's see what he does this year. If he steps it up a little bit, I don't have any problem rewarding a guy like him, a guy of his character.
He is good people. So real quick, we have 2 picks away. Best on board: Brock Purdy, Caleb Williams, Dontavius Wicks, the Green Bay wide receiver, Brendan Cooks, Dallas wide receiver, Gus Edwards, Blake Corum, Ezekiel Elliott, Jerry Jeudy.
I'm telling you, I like Eckler. I think Eckler was hurt last year. He was an explosive player, every other year. Why can't he be explosive this year?
Let's do it. Let's do it, AB. I like it. I'm down. Let's get him on our roster.
I'm picking all these skins.
Now we got the true Washington stat.
Yeah, true Washington podcast right here. I love it.
Hey, listen, if the
offense back on the clock,
is anything like the fantasy football community, things will be rolling.
All right, back on the clock, 20 seconds. Gus Edwards, Corum, Jerry Jeudy. I don't know if you want to grab a tight end. Luke Musgrave, no one's really good out there. Any preference? Nick Chubb, he might come back halfway through the year.
Grab the tight end, George.
Tight end, which one?
Your call.
Musgrave, right? Is he the next one up? No.
Or Schultz from Houston? Let's do it. I'm going to get Schultz real quick. I want to run out of time.
That's fine.
Yeah, who do we get? I don't even know who we got. Who did we get?
We missed it.
They don't skip us, though. What do they do, right?
40 seconds goes by fast.
We should get the highest rated guy.
I think so. Who did we get? We got Dalton Schultz. I think it actually went through. Okay.
I did go through. Interesting. Okay, that's fine. We're good on tight end then.
Yeah, we're way good on tight end.
EB, have you guys been out to camp yet? You plan on going out to camp or no?
No, it's hard because we would be out there in the cold for 3 hours before those guys are doing anything. We've been out there. I just feel like I never really gained that much from just watching them run around in a t-shirt. When all these guys, we have all these guys on the show, and I respect them all, but I don't know how they can tell who's having a great day and who's not. They all look the same to me out there. So I'm just ready for the real bullets to fly. I almost hate the preseason because I'm going to get all excited for two series with Jaden. He's going to hand off 60%
exactly
of the time.
Right. Exactly.
He's going to throw a couple vanilla routes, and then I'm going to be disappointed.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
What for guys that aren't used to saying a lot, what's the key to getting a good interview out of the players?
I think you just want them to know, you just want to get them at ease, right, from the beginning, and no gotcha stuff. Just have fun with them. Try to find something relatable, especially if they're into a video game or, you know what I mean? If you could just catch them a little bit, just relax them a little bit, talking about something that they enjoy. I think that always helps.
Easier to get info out of a player or a coach?
Oh, you definitely get more info from the players.
Yeah.
Definitely. Except for a guy like Jay. Jay could come on and say anything, which is why I love him.
He's your favorite interview? Is he your favorite coach interview, Jay?
He's one of my favorites to this day. Now he learned from getting burned.
Yeah.
And he wasn't quite as giving towards the end. But especially now, he'll give you anything. Look, we interview all the GMs, all the coaches. They basically don't give you anything. The good thing is they'll tell you stuff off air.
Yeah.
And then maybe you can try to find a way to use that information without, disclosing it. But the player always is not quite as guarded, and you could get some more stuff from the player. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, these guys are all pretty sharp. It's rare that a guy's just gonna just pop off like back in the day when we had Clinton Portis on talking about his parties and Santana. Those days were wild.
I can imagine, yeah, for sure. 100% those you guys.
Yeah, those guys were wild. Those days aren't pretty. Those things pretty much aren't happening anymore.
So last year you had Jonathan Allen regularly and Coach Rivera every weekly, or how?
No, we had Rivera on the first couple of years, and then the radio rights moved.
Okay.
So this year I'm 99% sure we're gonna have John again.
Cool.
And we had Robert, right? Didn't we have Robert last year?
So.
Robert was like our weekly. But I think we're gonna have a different weekly guy, but I don't want to say who yet. But I'm pretty sure I know. I'm excited about it.
Who puts that together?
It's our like CK, who's our program director, and sales staff. There's a lot of sales involved in it. These guys are not going to just do it for free. If you're going to get them on every week, you got to find a sponsor to pay them. A lot of it's way out of our control.
Yeah,
way out of our control.
We're up in 2 picks. Mike
Williams. Justin Herbert is still there. We already have 2 quarterbacks, right?
We have Lamar and Jaden. But I mean, Justin Herbert.
I don't know. Yeah. I'm not saying to do that, but
remember it's best ball, right? So let's say Justin Herbert goes crazy one week and throws 4 touchdowns, he'll be the quarterback of the week. But to have in the back of your mind, do you think he'll be scoring more than Lamar Jackson weekly? Like that's kind of have that in the back of your mind.
Yeah, I mean, only maybe if Lamar gets hurt. But
Xavier,
I see you have Dotson. You have Dotson in the queue.
I have him in the queue just in case we want to have him on there. We get him later on. He's number 2 on the board. Who we have Hawkinson, Cousins, Darnell Mooney, Musgrave on the Stafford later on. We have 25 seconds on the clock.
I don't know. At this point, you're starting to push my knowledge on some of these guys, to be honest with you.
These guys are all dart throws anyway.
Yeah.
Doug, what do you think?
Go Dotson. Yeah,
go Dotson. I'm all in on Dotson.
Let's pull the Chris. You ever drafted
score like 40 points a game, then let's do it.
If you've ever drafted in a fantasy league with Chris Bryant from the Hog Farmers, he drafts every Redskins, every Commander immediately, way out of position. Doesn't matter his own team is Commander.
Yeah, we're back up again. 20 seconds.
Who do you like?
We have 15 seconds, so whatever you want. It doesn't matter. It could be running back, could be wide receiver. Probably, I don't know. We have 9 seconds, Doug.
Grab the quarterback.
Quarterback Herbert? Let's do it. I was going to say maybe get Jalen Wright. I was going to say maybe Jalen Wright from Miami, but it's fine.
He may still be there. Where is he at?
He's about like 10 slots down. That's cool. It's not a big deal. These guys are all these are all total dart throws. We have 2 more picks anyway. We're all done.
Well, at least you're not messing around with defenses and kickers.
I know.
No, none of that.
EB, who's your favorite DC team, man? Is it the Capitals, the Nationals? Is it the
no, for sure it's the
Commanders?
Commanders.
Yeah,
for sure. No question.
Have you talked to Adam Peters? EB, have you got a feel for him at all?
I think we might have had him on once. I mean, I might have the same impressions everybody else does. He seems like a really thoughtful, experienced guy. I've been impressed. Really, I don't have any beef yet. I mean, give me a couple weeks, and when the shit hits the fan, I'm sure I'll come up with something. But so far, I'm cautiously optimistic, and they're in a great spot. I mean, they're coming from a team that had 4 wins last year. I mean, you have to be so bad to win 4 games, and
you have to try to win 4 games, right?
It's just so bad.
Yeah.
So I think they're in a good spot. I like what they've done.
We've talked about all the good things. If the team can't get there this year, what will be the reason, do you think?
Well, probably Jaden underperforms or got hurt. I think that would be a big thing. And possibly, maybe we just don't get enough pressure.
I was worried about that.
I don't know. We don't have we don't have Chase and Montez anymore, and those guys aren't world beaters, but they were decent at pressuring. I actually am a kind of a Jamin Davis guy, just because his athleticism is off the charts and he's just not produced. And so when they hired Dan Quinn, my first thought was, they're going to try to make Jamin Micah, because if you look at their athletic profiles, I mean, hell, Jamin beats them in some of them. I mean, they're very similar in size and athleticism. And I know that Mike is a Hall of Famer and Jamin is just a guy, but they just haven't figured out how to use him properly. And no, listen, I don't know his motor. I don't know his brain. Some of this stuff where he's running around, driving 150 miles an hour. So I don't know where he's at. But if he's locked in and they can find a way to use him, that's. But see, then the early reports I'm getting is that he hadn't looked that great.
I've heard the same thing.
So that was somebody I was really excited to see this year. I hope I get to see it. John Keim said Frankie Louvu has been his sort of his star on the defensive side of the ball so far.
The same thing.
So that's good to hear. But I think pressure on the defense. I'd like to see Manny Forbes. I haven't given up on him. I thought he played better in the last 5 or 6 games, to be honest with you. I mean, people are making fun of him for getting burned by AJ Brown. Well, who doesn't?
Yeah, it's AJ Brown. Yeah,
AJ Brown's a freak.
He is.
I mean, and then in my opinion, I know that people that know the team better than me say I'm wrong, but it seemed like he was getting benched for taking chances. Well, that's why they drafted him, because he takes chances, right?
Yeah.
People tell me I'm wrong, but that's what I saw. I saw a guy kind of guessing and taking chances, and then they benched him. So I don't know. Get his confidence up. Work on his technique. Darryl Green said he can fix him in 20 minutes. Well, let's fix him.
Sounds like a good idea.
But George and I talk about this all the time on the podcast. Like, how many of these guys are going to get just an instant boost from a coaching change? You know what I mean? Just like getting these guys in the position. I remember Smoot told us one time, just tell me where to be and why, and that way I don't have to think about it. Like, don't explain to me all the different nuances. Just say, where do I need to be, and tell me why. So when it's time to be there, I can remember why to be there. And I don't think they got a lot of that last year and the year before.
Mm-hmm. No, I think the coaching staff is a dramatic upgrade. With the talent upgrade, I just think we're going to be better. I don't think it's crazy at all to think this team could win 7 or 8 games. Double their win output, and then maybe get lucky on a couple things. Who knows?
I'm going to draft this guy, Kamani Vidal. He's like he's like a backup in the Chargers. He's a pretty good running back. Like, kind of like they have Gus Edwards in Los Angeles, and he's like a prodder, and Vidal's more of like a scat back. So we'll get him on our team.
It is amazing to think that we've got Bobby Wagner on the team, and he's being coached by Ken Norton Jr. What kind of world are we living in here, right?
It is crazy.
It is.
But I still think Bobby Wagner could play. I mean, what?
I think so too.
He led that team in tackles last year.
Whatever the hell he did.
Yeah. Had like a career year for tackles last year.
Do you have a draft pick that you actually like or prefer being on our team?
Well, I'm obviously intrigued by the McCaffrey kid.
Okay.
And the bloodlines are unbelievable. I mean, the parents, the uncle. I mean, it's just crazy. And what I like about it is so he's a converted quarterback, but he did that in college for 2 years and was productive. It wasn't like this is a hope and a prayer. Guy caught 12 balls. We're just drafting him based on his name. No, he went out there and was productive. And I'm sure he's still raw, but he played 2 years of receiver, big time college football. And I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by him, to be honest with you. And also Sinnott. I mean, the reports we're getting on him are great. So
they say that's the hardest position to transfer from Living Pulse from college to the pros. The hardest jump is tight end. So because I've heard that he looks good, but then some people will be like, man, it doesn't look like he's coming along as well. But I think people don't realize how hard that transition is.
Well, I think they have good depth there. I actually like their tight end room. The question will be Ertz, if he can stay healthy, but he looks great in the clips we've seen so far.
Yep. And then Cole Turner, they like Amani Rodgers. It'll be curious to see how many tight ends they keep this year.
I actually like Bates.
Yeah,
I like Bates. Bates was supposedly brought in to just be a blocker, and obviously that's what he excels in. But he's made some catches. He can catch a ball and make a play. He's not dynamic as a receiver, but he can catch a ball and stretch the field a little bit.
I'm a big fan. So I agree with you. I've been talking about Bates for a long time. Hopefully they'll get him some run. And the one thing about him is, to your point, is he is the only inline kind of tight end that they have. The rest of them are kind of move or shift tight ends, whatever you want to call it. You don't want them in blocking anybody.
Do we have any more picks? Are we done?
I think we have 3 more picks. I think maybe 2 more.
I have a flyer. If you want me to take a flyer,
Yeah,
I
give
don't
me.
know if he's still around.
Who
Look
is
up,
it?
and I've been hyping him up, and I interviewed him because he's friends with my buddies from New York. Dylan Lowby with the Raiders.
I heard about
Yeah,
him.
okay. I've heard about him actually.
Yeah,
Why do you like him?
They're putting him in all kinds of packages. He's going to return kicks. He's gonna catch balls out of the backfield. They're going to split him. Run him in the slot. He's going to do a little. He's going to shock people. The only reason why he went where he went, like 6 rounds, because he was at New Hampshire. But his athleticism and his work ethic, they're off the charts.
Okay.
So I like him as a sleeper if you guys are looking for sleepers.
Absolutely. And you where's he? Who's he playing? Las Vegas. Okay.
Yes, he's with the Raiders, and just read all the reports about him. I mean, they can't stop talking about him.
Well, I heard about him from you first, but I have heard a bunch of people in the fantasy world talking about him.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the comp is kind of like a poor man's Christian McCaffrey, frankly. So
Move them all around, yeah.
He has a pretty easy path to Zamir White for the Raiders. He's not like a world beater or anything over there, so he has a chance to get in there. Makes sense.
Oh, they love him. They love him.
That's awesome.
You don't have to talk bad about Zamir White just to pump up Dylan Law.
Is Zamir White a Georgia guy? Is that why you're defending him? I have no idea.
Yeah, he is.
Is he? Okay, that's funny.
Have you guys been watching the Hard Knocks off season? The Giants, it's been unbelievable.
Yeah, it has been really good.
Do you think they'll convince anybody else to do it again after this?
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe the stuff they're putting out there. I mean, just that whole organization's just sort of like just non-enthusiasm for Daniel Jones is unbelievable to me. I mean, I get it, but I mean, to put that out there is wild.
And after you paid him.
And Dable just like, oh yeah, I want Jaden. I'll trade up for Jaden. Take whoever you want. I'll trade up. I mean, I love that.
It was insane how much they wanted to replace him and just could not get somebody to do it. And then you got to look at me in the face. It's like, well, not really like that. Come on.
I think it's fantastic. I really enjoyed it.
A big debate that I see on social media is whether the Commanders should ever have that or ever do that. Would you ever want Washington to do that by any chance and go on the Hard Knocks or no?
I mean, I'd be for it. I don't care. I mean, I don't know if it's good or bad for them, but I mean, I'm a fan, so give me the more I can get, the better. You're
on the clock.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Dylan Lobby because
take Dylan Lobby.
A lobby, and we'll do one more. We have another pick in a couple minutes.
Where are we thin? What position are we thin at? Running back?
We have 3 QBs, 5 running backs, 5 wide receivers, 3 tight ends. They're pretty balanced, to be honest. We're in good shape.
We're just taking whoever at this point.
Yeah, who's your favorite dart throw?
Luke McCaffrey.
Yeah, Sennett's on there too. Pierce, Tracy.
We'll just load them up.
Who do you want? I think we do Sennett if we do anything, right?
Sure.
Yeah, we have Dotson and McLaurin already.
He's one of those guys where he may not pan off early in the year for your fantasy team, but by the time we get to the end of the year, like they may be. I could see lots of red zone packages for him, like in a fullback H-back type spot, even if he's not getting actual tight end work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to look around. Maybe get one more pick.
One more pick, right?
I don't know if we should get a wide receiver and another quarterback potentially.
Well, EB, what do you think about the best ball?
I mean, it's cool. I like this. You got to send me a link so I can follow it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'll let you know. It'd be cool.
Yeah.
Maybe one more running back. Because legitimately, all you do is you draft it and you sit it and forget it. That's it. You do the fun of the part of the draft and walk away, which is really nice.
Right. And then how many people are we competing against? Like,
so you can do anything. Yeah, this particular one's like $1 million like tournament, so like thousands, but like you can do like 1-on-1, 1-on-5, 1-on-12. You can do whatever you want. It's just like DFS or whatever you want to do. Except for like different different methods of it. You do a weekly, whatever you want to do.
Gotcha.
There's like 20 different leagues that they put up on this thing that range from $2 to $1,000 entry.
Mm-hmm.
the BestBall Mania is the one a lot of people do at $25 for $1.5 million, but yeah, it just adds a little extra action to something. I'll sit around watching TV playing this thing.
Well, I'm good with whoever at this point.
Yeah.
This is like round 20 doesn't really matter at this point anymore. What are your takeaways for the preseason, AB? What do you want from Washington? Like you said, I guess for me, Jaden Daniels being healthy is number one. But what else do you want to see over the next couple of weeks for our game?
I like to see Eckler have that first step. Still have that. Be able to move. I do want to see Manny Forbes I don't want to have to cut him in a year or two. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want that to be a bust. I want him to be a starting. If he's not the number one corner, at least number two.
Yeah.
I like to see if we can get some pressure. It's hard though. You can't I can't make large general. I'd love to be able to watch the practices. Are we going to be able to watch these joint practices? Are they going to be online anywhere or anything?
Yeah, we're not hosting any of them, so I think it all depends on what the Jets are willing to do.
I think it's only Thursday too. From maybe you guys know better than me. From what I know, it's only one day. It's only on Thursday. From what I get, so we'll see what happens.
I'm just glad they're doing them finally.
Yeah.
Like according to everybody, this is actually where you get to learn something in these joint practices, and they're going to learn something because that Jets defense is good. I don't know real quick whether Brandon Coleman has just been getting used to playing, Clellan Ferrell and Dante Fowler. They're going to see a little bit better action on the edges against New York. Right?
To EB's point, I want to see Forbes against Garrett Wilson. I want to see Aaron Rodgers throwing against our defense. That'd be really interesting.
Are they going to? Yeah. I mean, Rodgers will get reps, right? I'm going to see that.
During practice on Thursday for sure. We'll see. Maybe not the game. That's a trick.
They said he's definitely not playing in any of the games.
Yeah, we're not going to see. That's a trick. The actual game on Saturday is going to be like glorified walkthrough. It's going to be almost boring, like handing off, like EB was saying before. But I want to hear. Hopefully, this guy. I don't know if you talk to him, EB, like Kime and Paulson or whoever, going to go up there and give us some good reports on Thursday. I want to. Hopefully, they're up there.
Right. Yeah, and I said, and the guys were giving me a hard time, but if Jaden does something great, I'm going to take that and be excited. If he does something bad or poor, I'm not going to let that bother me. I'm not going to let that affect me at all. The negatives, he's free rolling for me in this preseason, right? So if he does anything negative, that's fine. He's a rookie. He's going to learn. But if he does something good and we see flashes, I am going to jump on that a little bit. I'll be honest.
Were you a May or Daniels guy going into the draft, or both?
I think, but no, by the last couple of weeks, I had convinced myself we had to take Daniels. Like, I think I would have taken Daniels 1-1, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I just think he's just great. It seems like a great kid all the way around. I love his experience. Caleb's a little bit more of a wild card. Like, he'll probably be fine. He'll probably be fine, but a little bit more of a wild card. I just really like the experience and just, I mean, Jaden's been groomed from this since he was like 10 or 11. I mean, his own quarterback coach since he was a kid. So I really like Jaden. I think it was a great pick.
So Doug, EB, my three options here are Tez Walker. He was the UNC guy. He's on Baltimore, Lamar. Clyde's Edward-Helaire is the backup in Kansas City just in case if what's his face goes down, Pacheco goes down, and Cam Akers is back up in Houston. Which one do you like out of those three?
Doug, who do you like?
5 seconds, Doug.
Let's go Tez Walker, right? We've already got a couple of Ravens on here. We just throw a dart and see what happens.
That's true. Perfect.
It's interesting when we're having that. You asked about May and Daniels, and one of the things I've been trying to say on social media recently more and more is like, it was all right to like both of them before the draft. It was all right if you liked May before and said, hey, Jaden's our guy now, and like, so I'm going to root for him. So just because, I try to tell people this all the time, just because maybe you liked May better before the draft doesn't mean that you can't like Daniels. Now, you have to, it's not like an apology tour type deal. It's like, hey, that's who you like, but now this is our guy, so be happy. And I think we've got a guy. I think we got one of those guys that's got it. And it's been a while, so I'm just going to be happy.
I actually think when it's all said and done, this quarterback class, I think it's going to be a good class. I don't think it's just going to be chock full of busts and, half of them are going to be awful. I'm not convinced of that. There might be several of these guys might be ballers.
I like McCarthy. I think he felt pretty good in Minnesota. It's a good situation for him there.
Well, and to your point, EB, this feels like the generation where everybody grew up with a quarterback coach. So, I think there are going to be less misses with quarterbacks because they're learning the essentials of the game at a very early age, and they're getting that coaching from a very early age, and they're playing these 7-on-7s. It's the same reason why we see wide receivers getting better and better entering the league every year. So I don't know. I would just spend more time being excited. The other guy, quick before we got out here, we don't talk very much about is Jeremy Chin at strong safety. If that dude is anything close to what he was that first and second year, they got something. It's interesting to see guys wanting to come to Washington, which I think is nice. It's been a long time since they've wanted to come.
Right. Well, I'm cautiously optimistic again, but I am every year.
All right, so real quick, EB, what we traditionally do is we kind of go through the team really quickly and bring it on home. This is our team on the left-hand side, George Carmi, 21, going down over CeeDee Lamb, Mike Evans, Derrick Henry. What are your thoughts on the team? Are you who do you like as the upside? Who are you kind of worried about? Do we make a mistake on any of these picks? What are you thinking about this?
Oh, I'm not sophisticated enough to know, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I like this.
Go ahead, Doug.
I would just say I like this one. I mean, obviously we hungered it up a little bit and took a bunch of Commanders, but there's no reason to think that if the offense is what they think it was, that'll be fine. But I think we layered him in. Lamar Jackson gonna put up big points each week. I think there's a chance that Dalton Schultz puts up big points each week. I like Mike Evans a lot, and really, the thing about CD is who else is he throwing the ball to out there, right? CeeDee Lamb is going to get a lot of targets, a lot.
Yeah, I think we walked away with some pretty good quarterbacks. Wide receivers are pretty strong too. CeeDee Lamb, Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin as our third wide receiver, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's I agree with EB. People are kind of sleeping on him. I think he's kind of washed, but dude, he's gonna have I think he's gonna have he might have 1,000 yards rushing, maybe not 1,500, but I think he's got 12 touchdowns. I think Baltimore's gonna pound him in the red zone. I think he's gonna get stack up a lot of points there. So I like that for sure. And then walking away, Alvin Kamara is a PPR running back. Jane Daniels, see what happens with him. Be kind of fun to watch. That'd be cool. There's some good players over there. Good stuff.
I like this draft, George, and it's got a bunch of people that we hadn't picked before.
Yeah, a little bit different.
Obviously, you've always got some people that pick the same again, but Evie, this was great, buddy, man. I hope you had some fun. I know I did, George.
No, it's great. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Make sure you send me a link so I can follow along week to week, and let me know if we're big fat winners.
That's
Absolutely.
Right. The big winners. All right, brother. We appreciate you.
Take care,
All
man.
right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
That's funny. It's cool people, man. I think it's the second time I've been on here with you.